Welcome everyone to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. We are talking new Surface devices, gaming Chromebooks, Ignite 2022, and a lot more. So let's get into it. I'm your host, Kareem Anderson, and I will be going through the news of the week. We had a very busy week where we had two events, so to speak. We had a Ignite 2022 and Microsoft's Surface Hardware event launch at the same day, about an hour or two apart from each other. And there was a lot of news from both, so let me get into it. The day finally came and went, and in less than 40 minutes, Microsoft routed off its list of new Surface computers for 2022. And for many, the pre-taped digital-only event was merely confirmation of what most of us kind of knew as far as what kind of hardware was coming down the pipe. While there were no gotcha moments or the oversaturated one more thing phrase that gets dragged out to introduce a new product category, it seems like, Chief Product Officer of Microsoft, Panos Panay, did follow what most tech companies have done in 2022 so far, and that was unveil a series of iterative updates for their flagship products. Apple did it, Google's done it, now comes Microsoft. I'm going to start from least impressive to most, at least in my opinion. Feel free to comment in the comment section about your list, in your order of list of products. But in my opinion, the Surface Studio 2 Plus was the least impressive. Microsoft's flagship all-in-one may have started off as the most anticipated product update by many who are hoping to see, at least after nearly 4 years of neglect, redesign or an update, a massive update to the product. Depending on how you look at it, 2022 could make 5 years and counting of Microsoft neglecting the device, because what Microsoft delivered was a repackaged Surface Studio 2, now called the Surface Studio 2 Plus, which brings the iconic but identical design from 2018 to the product. Now, there are no new bezels, no different screen size options, no new configuration options, or even colors for that matter. It's the same platinum gray slate from 2018, but with the new CPU, GPU, and additional port selections. The Surface Studio 2 Plus comes in one configuration with the following specs: Windows 11 Pro out of the box, 11th generation Intel Core i7 11 3070H, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 360 with 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM. As far as the RAM for the processor, it's 32 gigabytes of DDR4. Storage is capped at 1 terabyte SSD. I believe they had a regular HD hard drive in there before, so the spinning storage device, the new SSD is new and improved and should be impressive. There's a 28-inch pixel-sense display at a 3.2 aspect ratio, resolution of 4500 by 3000, which equals out to about 192 ppi, which is actually kind of shy of what we get for most laptops these days. There's 1 billion colors in auto color gamut, DCI P3 display, sRGB, and vivid color profiles. I don't know if they're 100% though. It's an individually calibrated display that offers 1200 by 1 contrast ratio, Dolby Vision's on board, Corning Glass 3 as far as protection from scratches and things of that, nicks and things like that. The audio uses stereo 2.1 speakers with Dolby Atmos sound, dual far-field studio mics, front-facing camera of 1080p Full HD resolution. There's Windows Hello on board for the facial authentication. There are three Thunderbolt 4 USB-C Type-C ports. There are 2 USB 3.1 Type-A ports, a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and 1 gigabyte Ethernet cable. The connectivity uses Wi-Fi 6, 802.11, Bluetooth 5.1. Like I said, the color is just a single platinum, and the design still keeps with the zero gravity hinge. The price, since it's only one configuration, is $4,200 or $4,299, and that comes with a mouse and keyboard and pen included in the box. So that's your Surface Studio 2 Plus update. The next thing up that was offered, as far as my list of importance, was the Microsoft Presenter Plus. So say hello to your new handheld comfort device in your office. For anyone who fiddles with the Surface Pen more than actually using it for writing or drawing, like myself, just kind of twirling it in your fingers, Microsoft is introducing another potential fidget device in the Microsoft Presenter 2. Microsoft's new laser pointer is a remote control for Teams and PowerPoint presentations and features support for shifting through slides of decks, highlighting specific areas during presentation, both in person, so you can, I guess, use a light as well as that, and online. So you can point to a presentation from your computer, and everyone that's viewing the presentation via conference software or online will see where you're highlighting, which is kind of cool. The remote also taps the mute button and has a button for quick launching meetings, like a Teams dedicated button, and a button for virtually raising hands during presentation. So if you have a question about anything, you can click on the presenter, hand goes, or the virtual hand goes up, and people can see that, hey, so and so has a question. All of this comes for around the price of $79.99 and has support for a few other presentation software solutions. I think there's like two or three more on board, with more expected to meet Microsoft's Teams certification soon. So hopefully, whatever product or presentation software you're using, you get it certified by Teams and you can use your presenter for it. Microsoft also introduced or unveiled a few new adaptive accessories that are designed for the office this time around instead of Xbox. I know Xbox had a big splash with their accessibility adaptive hardware. Now Microsoft has made some for the office that includes an adaptive hub, adaptive buttons, adaptive joystick, adaptive D-pad, adaptive mouse, 3D printed tails and grips for the Microsoft Business Pen and Microsoft Classroom Pen 2, with templates to create your own versions of these grips as well. Prices are $59.99 for the hub, $39.99 for the adaptive buttons that come in either a single or dual button configuration. The $39.99 also applies to the adaptive D-pad and the adaptive joystick as well. The adaptive mouse core will cost around $44.99 and $14.99 for the custom 3D printed grips that you don't print yourself. But again, they're templates, so you can save yourself some money by printing your own. What I've started to kind of raise my eyebrow during this presentation for was, at least the first eyebrow raise, was for the Microsoft Audio Dock. I'm an audiophile. I have enjoyed, keeping the Microsoft Modern speaker in my backpack for travel because it does come in handy. My wife uses it because she's a dance teacher, and again, it's usually great to project a lot more sound than just trying to push it through your laptop speaker. So the Microsoft Audio Deck, Microsoft has bumped up its audio product from last year, which looks to replace the Microsoft Modern speaker as the new USB-C connected team speaker in your office. I wasn't able to get a feel for the size of the speaker because they barely showed it. It was kind of like a passing slide, but it looks much larger than the speaker from last year and comes with more ports that include two USB-C ports, one USB-A Type A port, a full HDMI port, which is interesting, and a power out for connection as well. The speaker itself is Omnisonic that's powered by 15-watt woofers and a 5-watt tweeter with two front-facing noise-canceling microphones and tactile buttons on top, which is also kind of nice instead of having digital or capacitive buttons to help control volume, power, and launch meetings. There's a dedicated Teams meeting button as well. And that's all for $249.99, which is roughly this average price for a medium-sized Bluetooth speaker these days. This one just happens to have a Teams button on it. Now we're finally getting into actual PCs that people might be interested in, run out and spend their money to use, which is the Surface Laptop 5, which is similar to the Surface Studio 2, unfortunately, wherein Microsoft kept the identical outer shell but improved internal specs. They did a little bit more with this one this time around than they did with the Surface Studio 2, but here are some of the specs. We have, again, Windows 11 on board, and if you're in business, you can get a version with 10 Pro. They offer it in both 13.5 and 15-inch versions. Both come with 12th gen Intel Core i5 or i7 U processors. Unfortunately, there's no NVIDIA on board for these ones, which would have made them pretty powerful. I mean, they're still powerful in their own right using Intel Iris Xe graphics, but the dedicated GPU would have been mwah. Uh, we get RAM configurations of 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes, or 32 gigabytes LPDDR5. Storage capacities are at 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. I wish they had gone up to 2, but at least they're removable, so that's kind of a kicker. Like we said, the displays are exactly the same. They didn't improve the aspect ratio or the pixel count, the PPI, or even the bezels, unfortunately. But they do come with Dolby Vision IQ on board, and they retain their 10-point multi-touch feature. They also come with Omnisonic speakers with Dolby Atmos on board and dual far-field studio mics. Sadly, they still have the 720p HD camera, so you're still going to need a webcam. But I'm sure you've all invested in one since the pandemic. They do offer Windows Hello Authentication. It doesn't seem like it's been sped up or improved very much from last year's, but I mean, last year's was already pretty good. The battery claims are about 19 hours for the 13 inch, 18 hours for the 15 inch. We'll have to test those out and find out. Port wise, exactly the same. We have one third Thunderbolt 4, USB 4, Type C. I apologize, Thunderbolt is now on board, so that is new. We have one USB 3.1 Type A port. We still retain the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which is nice, and the dedicated or proprietary Surface Connect port, which does, I believe, have fast charging on board. I forget the wattage for that. Connectivity has been boosted to Wi-Fi 6, which again is 802.11, and Bluetooth 5.1. They do offer a few more colors this time around. Platinum with Alcantara, matte black, sage, and sandstone. For the 15-inch model, you only get matte platinum and matte black. Unfortunately, the sizes are exactly the same because it's the same device. The prices start at $9.99, but there are over 51 different different specs and pricing configurations that you can go through because there are two different models. And like we said, they start at $9.99, but you can get up to I think $24.99 or yeah $24.99 for the top tier 15-inch model with everything maxed out. So the standout features for the laptop 5, if there are any, are minor, but they should be noted nonetheless this time around. Like I said, there's Thunderbolt 4 support, which is big, Dolby Vision IQ, which will help you get better HDR optimized viewing experiences. There was vague marketing speak about Microsoft dropping AMD or why Microsoft dropped AMD configurations this time around. To understand it, you need to be like a code speaker or have a master's degree in mid-level marketing. It didn't make any sense, but apparently the performance from AMD wasn't either up to par or they just didn't sign the contracts that they needed. Last is the showstopper and the 10th anniversary of the Surface Pro, so hence being probably the most changed out of all the devices this year. We have the Surface Pro 9, which again is being 10 years celebrated. And this time around, they went and combined both the Surface Pro 9 and Surface Pro X, kind of as we've been mentioning over the past few months about the potential of them doing that. They went ahead and did it. It's going to save them on manufacturing costs, presumably. And because they went to this new anodized manufacturing process, they're able to offer them in more colors so that if they do get scratched, they are not just surface level scratches that reveal silver underneath. These will be through and through colored devices. The configurations come with Windows 11, or again, if you're a prosumer, it's Windows 10 out of the box. They both come, one comes with 12th gen Intel Core i5 or i7 U processors, and another configuration comes with the Microsoft SQ3 processor this year around that also contains a neural processing unit, which is going to be big. I'll explain that in a second. For the Intel version, you get Intel Iris Xe graphics. For the ARM version, which is based on the Qualcomm architecture, you get Adreno on board, ACX Gen 3. RAM wise, you get configurations of 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes. For the 5G version, which is the only one offered, and that's offered on the Qualcomm version, it's 8 gigabytes or 16, sadly. Storage wise, you get 128 gigabytes, 256, 512, or 1 terabyte of removable storage for the Intel Wi Fi version, or for the ARM 5G version, you get 128, 256, or 512, also removable, fortunately. It's the same 13-inch pixel sense display with 3.2 aspect ratio, resolution of 2880 by 1920, which is about 267 ppi for everybody. Color profiles are sRGB and vivid. Dynamic refresh rate for both of 120 hertz. Contrast ratio is 1200 to 1. It has adaptive color, 10-point multi-touch, Corning Glass 5. auto color management supported with the Wi-Fi only version. Dolby Vision IQ, which is again with the Wi-Fi Intel only version. The 5G model does come with its own brand of Windows Studio effects, which I'll get into in a second. The webcam for the front facing webcam for both is a 1080p Full HD. Rear facing is a 10 megapixel autofocus camera with 1080p and 4K video resolution capture. The 5G model comes with again Windows Studio Effects, which offers portrait blur, automatic framing, and eye contact, thanks to the NPU processor that isn't on the Intel version. So there's a whole dedicated processor to just doing these conference enhancements on these things. Like we said, battery for the Wi-Fi Intel versions charted at 15.5 hours of typical device usage. 5G version is up to 19 hours. Again, we'll have to test these ourselves. Port wise, I believe they moved some of the buttons. I think the volume and power button are now centered at the top. And as far as the 5G or both models are concerned, for the ports, they were both, I believe, on the left hand side. We get a one Surface Connect port. We get the Surface keyboard Pogo connections at the bottom. We get two Thunderbolt 4 USB, 4 Type C ports, and for the 5G model, we do get a Nano SIM. Although I do believe an eSIM is on board for that as well. And I believe we have a how-to on how to get your own Windows eSIM set up, even if you don't have an eSIM enabled device. So you can go claim your own eSIM today and have that ported over for this new device. The 5G ranges, I believe, are for millimeter wave in 5G markets only. There's a sub 6 gigahertz 5G market options available for those markets as well. And the color options, again, they're similar to the Laptop 5, which are platinum, graphite, meaning black, sapphire, forest. But for the 5G option, you only get platinum. I don't know why. Weight's around the same for both. So the thickness that was added from the Surface Pro 8 will be applied to the Surface Pro 9, even if it's 5G, because Microsoft is just saving on manufacturing costs. Starting price is $999 for the Wi-Fi models and $1299 for the 5G. Now I'm going to get into some software that was announced during the event. Before I get into the headlines, there were a couple announcements baked in the Surface keynote that raised the other eyebrow of mine. That included an update to the Windows 11 Photos app that it now brings iCloud integration. So the Venn diagram of people who use iPhones, Windows PCs, no more Windows Phone users, sadly, will now be able to view their iCloud photos on the Windows PC. To get things started, Microsoft began rolling out a preview of the integration in the latest Windows Insider Dev Channel build, which is 2022.3.11.00.9001.0. As part of the integration, users will now see a new icon appear and then next to their photos in their iCloud to identify which ones are iCloud photos versus the rest of their own photo gallery. Apple and Microsoft further deepened their official partnership by promising to bring Apple Music and Apple TV to Xbox consoles and Windows devices in the future. Xbox users can actually try out Apple TV and Apple Music on their consoles today. I believe Apple TV came a few months ago. Apple Music is now, I think, as of Wednesday on the device to try out in the Microsoft Store. But Windows users will have to wait until next year to get the official app so they can move away from the dreaded, albeit updated, iTunes app. I haven't used it in a while. Other software announcements included the introduction of Microsoft Designer, which is now powered by DALL-E 2 and comes as part of Microsoft's 365 subscription. The cloud-based AI-powered designer is intended to help users create from their own content or ideas that can easily be quickly translated to social media posts, invitations, presentations, proposals, and more. The integration of DALL-E 2 into Bing is actually a big deal and might require its own opening discussion section in the future, but suffice to say, somehow Microsoft has figured out a way to harness its ability and put it into Bing to do cool things, like simply searching ideas to have AI create images based on it. So you can just type in to the search engine, I'm looking for a guy with his back turned and a cape, and it's yellow, and he is wearing a red costume and is a superhero. And the AI will figure out a way to build that out for you. It's pretty cool. What it essentially does is democratize art and design for those of us who don't actually have any talent, like myself. Now on to the headlines. Windows 11 insiders, or Microsoft rolled out a pair of beta channel builds to Windows insiders this week, identified as builds 11.62.11.746 and 22.63.746. And for beta testers rubbing their heads in anticipation of new features, just remember they are turned off by default and are in the process of being rolled out. What is being rolled out, you asked? For build 2263.746.746 is bringing primarily support for the ability to rearrange system tray icons with further improvements for the experience to come. There are also a pair of fixes on board to address enabling the MS App Installer Uniform Resource Identifier (URI) to work for the desktop app installer, and a fix in the slow indexing process of the Windows search service. So if you start typing into search and taking forever to get everything you need all in one spot, they've got a fix for that. It's coming out. Obviously, not everything has been fixed, and the Windows team notes that it's aware of continued audio problems, taskbar issues, and issues when dragging system tray icons or moving them around within the tray. Another headline we have is some of the biggest consumer news coming out of Ignite this year included the rebranding of Office 365 to simply Microsoft 365, with predictions that the Office brand will eventually go extinct. Predictions aside, the facts of rebranding include a new centralized app that will replace the one Office 365 users have grown to tolerate. That's the new one on Windows, PCs, and mobile. The Office Hub on PC and mobile, instead of Office users, will be met with a rebranded Microsoft 365 app that serves a very similar service while offering the same and in some cases more features than the one that we currently have, the current Office 365 Hub. Some of the new features gained are new types of content creation templates. We also get new app models so people can discover, launch, and pin their tools you use the most across Microsoft 365. Welcome badges, my content section, which is a feed for all your popular features that business customers can now access. A feed section in general, which will have relevant content based on who you work with or how you work with, and surface it in easy to digest interface. And tagging, a new way to group and organize your content with custom tags across all types of content. So for all you OCD organizers, this should be fun to play with. In addition to the name change, there will be icons and designs handed out to the Microsoft 365 product apps, but we don't have any renders of what those icons will look like. We do expect the first batch of those, I believe, hit in December of this year, with many more rolling out throughout next year. As far as we can tell, and judging by the price tiers on their websites, Microsoft isn't raising the price for the rebrand, which functionally will now bundle Teams, Loop, Designer, Stream, and Clipchamp into Microsoft 365 as apps that are serviceable. Many are speculating on the end of Microsoft 365 as a brand, and they're probably right. But after 30 plus years of the nomenclature, it's going to take some time for people to remap their brain to think of Microsoft 365 and its products as being unattached from Windows, and they're just simply a suite of cross-platform pieces of software. But we wish Microsoft good luck on this journey. The other thing we have is Outlook will soon allow you to react to company emails without sending a reply, which is kind of nice. There's a recent study out that claims Gen Zs have canceled the thumbs up emoji for being too passive-aggressive of a symbol of text communication. I don't think we need to get into that study, but Microsoft is about to give Outlook users the ability to do a very similar reaction in the emails. According to Microsoft's 365 roadmap, a single-click reaction to emails in Outlook is scheduled for completion later this month, and will start rolling out to Outlook users on iOS, Android, and the web, Macs, and Windows, with the more professional classic Outlook users having to wait until December to give each other the finger, thumb up, or whatever other appendage they say as far as you've done a great job or read your content or whatever. The feature works very similar to reaction social media platforms, where the users in the same tenant will be given a bed of 6 customizable emoji reactions, quick applies basically, that can be applied to emails that include hearts, celebratory emojis, thumbs up, shocks, laughing emojis, and a host of others from the 800 existing Teams emojis that we talked about, I believe, a month or two ago. And just like social media, anyone else in the same tenant will see your passive aggressive thumbs up reaction to an impromptu media request that was sent through email or sent by an overzealous mid manager who loves to send out unnecessary emails. As part of our Ignite 2022 coverage, we have to keep you posted on the latest. And for those of you interested in Power Platforms, there was some news about them becoming more powerful through AI. As a bit of a refresher, Power Platforms consist of Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. And they're all welcoming the addition of Power Pages, which was announced earlier this year during Microsoft's Build Conference in May. The updates that are using some of the AI power is Power Automate, which is adding automation COE starter kit to help companies establish this practice with greater ease. Along with this, Microsoft is rolling out a new business approvals kit. Both updates are generally available. Power Automate Expressions, by example, is a new method for generating expressions when creating cloud flows, specifically when it comes to data reshaping. Users will be able to provide an example of how they want their data returned to a flow, and suggested expressions will generate using AI to apply suggestions expressions to their cloud flow. This is in preview. Native Power Automate integrations will connect into Excel, let users use the Automate menu and Excel-specific templates for automation while keeping work within the same Excel menu. This update is in preview. Power Pages, on the other hand, gains a new template and enhanced Design Studio, and these promise future updates. The Learn Hub should be coming out soon, I believe. Pro developer tools have been updated and empower makers to use the best in-class Visual Studio VS Code. And security and governance updates include turnkey integration with Azure Web Application Firewall, content delivery network CDN with Azure Front Door, support for custom domains, and added support for new Microsoft Dataverse data types and makers professional developers. They've also simplified their modeling strategy, or simplified licensing model strategies for daily sign-in and web page views to authenticate anonymous users. Power Pages will be available through prepaid, capacity-based subscriptions and pay-as-you-go meters. So those are the three options I believe they solidified on. As of now, most of these are in preview, and Microsoft hasn't confirmed any hard dates or timeframes when we can expect most of them to be released for further testing. When we go in more about Ignite 2022, we have some information about Microsoft Viva. Microsoft's productivity tracking tool, take that however you feel, is getting a little bit more powerful or creepy depending on your perspective of the following updates. Viva Insights is getting meeting organizers with the Viva Insights subscription will be able to see the aggregated results and feedback to prompt an effective engagement or to promote an effective engagement. Employers and employees can also set up a focus mode experience that allows users to break up projects into short, undisturbed bursts followed by a short break. New quiet time settings will also be allow admins to silence after-hours notifications and limit the use of apps after hours. New learning experiences, learning paths will allow managers to create a sequence of groups of learning materials and make those available to employees as a learning path that can be discovered and shared through Viva Learning. Engage Storylines is now available, and a new way to create social connections between company leaders can be viewed in Outlook and the Viva Connections feed inside of Teams. Last is Goal integrations, which launched and began working natively with Slack and Google Sheets this week, and I believe they have Jira coming up soon. So users can now receive notifications or reminder conducts, OKRs directly from Slack. As far as the little handheld that could, it showed up again this week. It was spotted rocking Android 12L. The guys over at Windows Central got some hands-on with the device. Daniel Rubino visited Microsoft last week and got a chance to play around with the Surface Duo that's now running Android 12L, and says that everything looks in order, at least as far as what's been reported previously. There will be some Windows 11 inspired aesthetics changes coming to the device via the launcher that include mica and acrylic highlights, more rounded menus, a notification shade that's reminiscent of the Action Center on Windows 11, and a mashup of Windows 11 color profile theming mechanism in conjunction with Google's Material U the theming system. While much of this is made possible by tweaks to the underlying UI through the launcher, Microsoft Launcher, there are no indications that these changes will come to the app itself, so that if you're running like S22 or Pixel that you'll be able to get these same sort of features. So this may just be device specific to the Duo. Rubino and Zach Bowden, who's also over at Windows Central, I think the update could come as quick as the end of this month. We aren't committed to that time frame, but do expect it to happen before the year is out. Meta and Microsoft have partnered up for a new VR experience. In the somewhat shocking, less shocking if you've been paying attention, news, Microsoft and Meta have joined forces to strengthen a VR push, with Meta providing the hardware for the Quest Pro VR headset and Microsoft providing the software through Microsoft 365 as a supportive platform for the device. Items such as Windows Cloud PC with full custom apps and settings will make their way to the Quest Pro. Revamped and quite frankly a nicer looking Teams app will also be making its way to the Quest Pro, and the Xbox Cloud Gaming platform will be making it to the Quest Pro soon. Microsoft's endorsement is one thing the Quest Pro has going for it, but this new $14.99 price tag will be a hard pill to swallow for enthusiasts. Meanwhile, the $1,500 price tag does undercut the HoloLens developer kit and may finally be the nail in the coffin on the hardware side for Microsoft's division, or HoloLens division. But we're probably going to see the dividends of them breaking up the hardware and software parts of HoloLens. As we mentioned, the Quest Pro marks the second partnership with a third-party provider of hardware that Microsoft has partnered with and will provide the AR experiences for. I think Samsung was the first one. But there has been no mention of any new consumer or enterprise hardware coming out of the HoloLens division in almost 4 years. So I'm not saying that they're going to shutter it, but the software side seems to be moving a lot faster than the hardware side publicly. Google attempts to re-enter the market through Chromebook hardware. We're ending this week on Google's end around of its own cloud gaming situation, kind of odd, with new Chromebooks tailored for cloud gaming. Hold on to your butts because it seems kind of a weird story. While Google's stepping back from the cloud gaming ledge, it's looking to leverage others who have been more committal to the area to boost its Chromebook efforts, and has teamed up with OEM PC partners to deliver the first batch of cloud gaming centric Chromebooks. Acer's providing its 516 GE 16-inch 120 Hz panel laptop, which offers a 16 by 10 aspect ratio with a Core i7 Intel processor when it's running Chrome OS, obviously. Lenovo has its own IdeaPad gaming Chromebook with a similar display, also rocking a 12th gen Core i5 processor. And then there's last up Asus with its Chromebook Vive CX55 Flip, which has a 15.6 inch FHD panel with an up to 144 Hz refresh rate and a 12th gen Intel processor configuration. Prices for these three Chromebooks range from $599 to $649.99. They all seem to be about mid-level gaming PC prices, but definitely not the hardware for it. But unlike previous Chromebook efforts, the pitch isn't the price, but the fact that these devices can leverage cloud gaming platforms such as xCloud, NVIDIA GeForce Now, and even Amazon Luna. Google dropped out of its own Stadia efforts just to back its former competitors in hopes of expanding its Chromebook offerings. I'm not saying there was like a mafia sit down among the cloud groups where they kind of cornered Google and said, hey, you could either get out of Chrome or get out of Google cloud gaming and you can keep your Chromebooks, or stick with cloud gaming and see what happens to you. It'd be a shame if something happened to your Stadia. But either way, Google was fortunate enough to come out of the deal with, being able to leverage the Chromebooks even after the pandemic. I mean, and there it is, folks. That's the end of a busy week. I want to thank you for joining me. And if you're into more than just listening to me ramble on about the news of the week, take some time to visit onmicrosoft.com to read further details of each of the stories I've just gone through, get caught up on our how-tos, make your buying decisions based on some of the reviews that we give on hardware, and see what giveaways are coming up next for the site. You can also visit us on Twitter and subscribe on our YouTube channels, where I plan to do some more walkthroughs of Microsoft software, so you can hear this voice over some walkthroughs of some of the updated features that are coming through. I know. You probably want to hear somebody else, but it's me you're stuck with.